It's time to call to order and over this inland wetlands and water courses commission for November 4th, 2024. 7:07. We're gonna have to first start off by seating our alternate, Brad Kelly, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're the commissioner tonight with us. Okay, so this is Brad Kelly, Commissioner Bill Burnett, Joe. You probably know Joe. Joe. He's his agent.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
we've got a couple of things we have to do with here. There's no true changes to the order of the agenda. We have to approve, the minutes from September 10th. The regular meeting minutes,
We could hold off on that too, because two of the members aren't there.
okay,
Brad wasn't, you weren't at the
okay, we'll hold off on that as well.
push it in the next.
Okay, good. No public comment, this is public here. Oh. This is is this being recorded?
There's no need.
There's nobody. All right, and here we are. We want to, we've got a permit application, IWWC number 24/10, Eric Anderson, town of Andover, for the Bunker Hill Road replacement of an existing Bunker Hill Bridge over the Hop River.
Should come up to the sheriff, but
Put this in. I'll try to put this in the slideshow mode and see if I can remember everything. About the notes. All right. All right, I'm Greg Garish with Close Jansen and Miller, consultant liaison for this town of Andover project to replace Bridge 4583, which carries Bunker Hill Road over Hop River. It is a state DOT administered project. It's 100% federally funded. So just want to note that, good information for the town. That's it. This is project location. I think you guys are probably pretty aware, across the street, Bunker Hill, Road over Hop River, 1/10 of a mile from Route 6. Probably 2/10 from here. Here's a aerial view. You can see Scott's Tree Farm on the southwest, and that's really the biggest property of note in this rural area. All right, so the purpose of the project is the deteriorated condition of the multiple culverts structure. There's rust and deterioration below the water line, perforations, voids, deflecting. In 2021, several storms came in and actually a couple of them overtopped the structure. And you can see in the bottom picture there that some of the roadway was washed away and temporary repairs were required. So those are in place, and the current condition, it's going faster than me. The current condition is in this upper slide where it's reduced to a single lane to keep people off the shoulders, the temporary repairs in place. So It was originally built in 1960. It was rehabilitated in 1988, which included adding a third culvert pipe. There were only two to start. The one on the right, see, it looks a little different, is the third culvert pipe. It's a triple barrel asphalt coated corrugated metal pipe arch culvert, differing sizes. They're all about 15 to 16 feet in diameter with reinforced concrete head walls. The average daily traffic over the bridge is about 330 vehicles. The drainage area to the site is 58 square miles, which is decent sized, and it's currently under design for design flows that contributes to the overtopping. All right, so we got a couple of pictures of the bridge. This is from downstream. You can see some sedimentation downstream. This is upstream, so looking downstream, that's the inlet. That's looking upstream from the bridge. Downstream from the bridge, there's the parking area on the left there, which is the north side for anglers and river access. This is, top of the bridge showing that it's stop controlled at this point, and you can see the parking area for the river access as well. And this is looking the other way, Scott Street Farm towards Route 6. So this project is located within a FEMA 100-year floodplain, as well as a regulated floodway. The floodway is shown as the white border down the middle, and the shaded area is the 100-year floodplain. To note, the floodplain here is quite wide, several hundred feet wider than the bridge. You can see the bridge is pretty small compared to the floodplain here. All right, so this shows the termination of bank full width. So ordinary high water is shown here, as well as what's delineated by the certified soil scientist. To note, there's no in the wetlands on site. So there's no federally regulated or state regulated wetlands on site for the soil scientist. So just the water course. The bank full width is important in determining how we size the bridge. So Army Corps recommends sizing at least 1.2 times bank full width, or 20% greater than bank full width, to maintain a natural channel through the bridge, which we're doing for the proposed condition. But just to show you that this is measured, somewhere 63, 64, 65 feet average for the bank full width, and that's shown again here. This is the proposed bridge replacement. There's a lot of construction information on this, on the slide. But what's important is that we're removing the multiple opening structure and replacing it with a clear span, natural bottom structure, opening up for hydraulics, allowing a lot more flow through the bridge. It's 370 square feet in the existing condition, and there's 700 and some odd square feet in the proposed condition, so nearly doubling the hydraulic opening that's existing. This also allowed for riparian shelves to be constructed to allow critters to pass, wildlife to pass under safely. What else to know?
That's that black and green.
Yeah, so you see how like the embankments go up underneath the bridge, and then they level off, and it's 3-foot sections on each side.
Right.
So those sections are, flat area for the wildlife to pass safely without having to go over the road. Another thing to note is there's riprap. So you've got granular fill with riprap on top on either side, and then a foot of natural stream bed material on top of that. So riprap we'll see in the plan view on the embankments for embankment protection. And this is based on velocity calculations for FHWA for stabilizing the embankments. And through the bridge, the toe in you see creates like a wedge for scour protection. So that's, with bridges failing these days, that's pretty important. Is you get the toe below the design scour calculated, and that way it won't undermine the bridge.
Is the guardrails, is that going to be open like that?
Yes, so the open bridge rail allows really some relief for overtopping, but it's the roadway will be updated for federal standards, so the bridge rail, and there's also guide rail that extends off the four corners, or I should say three corners. The south or the northwest side has a concrete end block and wall to not block the access to the river access. So the guide rail didn't extend.
Oh.
There's a concrete wall there instead on that side.
And there was one thing I noticed, you wrote something, that you were changing the angle of one of the sides.
Yeah, so the west abutment was kind of skewed to the channel, and in the new configuration, it'll be
It'd be more
parallel.
See, it's like,
Yeah.
they just did it straight north and south, I think, the first time. they did it.
Right.
So this.
Yeah,
side
this is
like-
now in line with the river to allow natural flow. Yeah. That's it, but keep going with the questions, easier probably to do while we go through. So here's proposed site plan, you can see the regulatory lines, we're gonna have water is red. The light blue is the floodway and the dark blue is floodplain. You can see the riprap, shown here on the embankments, it's, it covers the new embankment to stabilize the new embankment, since we are widening out, there's gonna be new embankments there. We need to protect that embankment from failing in a flood.
So it is FEMA that determines the 100-year flood,
Yeah,
so they're the ones that are responsible for changing it if it needs to be changed.
the FEMA lines here are based on the current FEMA firm. So that's what we're showing is the floodway and floodplain lines, their elevations based off of the FEMA firm map.
Yeah.
FEMA, I think the town is actually responsible for, each town is responsible for updating FEMA firms. So it's a kind of big topic to dive into, I think, but it is, administered and overseen by the town. So if there was a map revision for, if this project raised, if there was a project that raised the elevation in the floodway, you had to go get a letter of map revision, it would be kept on record at the town. And so if somebody from basically, wants to look that up online, it would basically, the town has to provide that publicly. But here we do not have an increase. It is something we definitely try to avoid with that, the big hydraulic opening, there's a slight
Right.
decrease in the floodway, right, yeah. So to facilitate the construction and demolition of the existing structure and construction of the new structure, there'll be 2 stages of water handling. So we've got the 2 pipes on the right side, you can see with the dashed lines, you can see that they're separated as 3. The 2 arrows are actually going through the northern pipes. So water handling will be put in place to confine the western side to allow removal of that western pipe as well as the substructure. So first, before water handling is ever put in place, they'll remove the top of the structure, the deck. And we'll do that with a debris shield so nothing falls into the river, although that's not really, it's a little different here with the culverts, but they will so remove probably some of the roadway, but here they'll put in, the contractor will put in water handling and remove the westernmost pipe and remove the substructure. And that'll all be done behind confinement in the dry. Settling basins will be in place to not allow sediment to run into the river. There'll be sediment erosion control. You can see as the lines on the south side, the line with the block going through it and temporary watering basin in the upper left there. So yeah, that's the first stage. The second stage, you flip it. So the newly constructed abutment that will have gone in the first stage. So the first is removed and then also construct the new abutment And so now you have a wider opening to the west side is the abutment on the, or this is the south side, the left side is further back for the new abutment, and then we'll install new, flip the water handling so that the rest of, the structures and the drying can be removed, as well as removing the substructure, and same thing, install abutments, there's actual piles will be driven into bedrock, which is for scour as well. And, the new stream bed will be formed and the riprap will be placed to, protect the embankments. Questions?
I'm curious about dewatering practices, and you mentioned piles, and so then I imagine those will be crowded. You want that. Construction dewaters.
That, a lot of that's up to the contractor and, methods and, how they're gonna do it. So once a contractor is selected, they will come up with a plan, and that'll have to be, acceptable to the engineer. But, the dewatering is, there's settling basins placed, put in place with the water handling will be put in place with either be sandbags or coffer dam, or would be a coffer dam, would be sandbag or sheeting. In this case, it's looking like we can get away with sandbags, but that's gonna be up to the contractor. And so that area is dewatered through a sediment basin. And it'll need to be kept as a dry area, and that confinement, will be in place in the duration of the installation of the piles and the abutments. Does that kind of answer it for you? If you want more information, you
If
can.
they're, when they're dewatering, what their plan is for discharge.
What do you mean, like the river? Or discharging the,
So if they need to dewater, to dry out the area where they're working,
yeah,
right? So they would need
So
to
there'd be a-
some, right?
Yeah, right.
And they'll pump it out.
right, pump through it, yeah, through a basin.
Right, yeah, I'm picturing they would discharge that directly to the river then, but I don't know, I haven't read through the documents yet, if that's recommended or not, I was just curious.
Yeah, so, the water course area would go directly to the water course, and outside, basically above ordinary high water, would be dewatered through a septic basin. That makes sense?
Yep,
So when that confidence is put up, after they take the old structures out and they're constructing the new structure, is that above the water level when they're reconstructing that?
Yep, so typically the water handling is designed for the 2-year storm, so it'll be high enough so that the river can flow through in that temporary condition up to a 2-year storm. And typically this is done during the summer, so it should be during low flow periods. So we try to get in and out as quickly as possible while it's, low flow, and avoid, fish spawning and those things. All right, so here's results of the impacts. So you got just under 5,000 square feet of water course impacts. There are no wetland impacts. There are no wetlands on site. There's 1,300 square feet of temporary, which is basically due to the temporary water handling, and you can see that in the light pink there, where that's separated 2 stages, but it's in, we're showing all of the impacts at once, so that'll be happening in 2 different stages, but that's all the impacts, and the permanent impacts are for, the necessary removal of the culverts and the installation of the substructure, and riprap stabilization below ordinary high water. Floodplain impacts, the whole site is just about within the floodplain, except to the south, there's some disturbance that's not that's beyond the floodplain lines, but, this is basically Army Corps jurisdiction, floodplain. Much more cut here because of removing the pipes from the water course and widening out the bridge, so a lot of cut going from there. No impacts expected, expecting the water course and hydraulics to run much more efficiently.
Is it gonna, since it doesn't have the culverts in it, is it gonna change the speed or flow of the water? Not having it within it anymore?
There's actually, it's a slight rise, but the hydraulics are surprisingly similar in the 100-year design event, in the higher events because of the floodplain width. So because the 100 years is so wide, that basically wave of all of that water that is several hundred feet to the north is not very affected by that 80-foot opening. We went from about 50 feet of opening with the 3 openings to an 80-foot opening in the proposed condition, and that versus several hundred feet does not impact the hydraulics substantially. The 10-year currently overtops the roadway to the north. It's probably now the low point, and that doesn't happen in the existing, in the proposed condition. So there's some reduction in the water surface, and so with that reduction in the water surface, you get a slight rise in velocity, but it's like on the order of, 1/10 of a foot per second, so it's really not going to be noticeable. So review area, town regulated areas within 200 feet of ordinary high water line, upriver. All the activity on the site is within 200 feet. So all of the disturbance here is within the upland review area. It's necessary to complete the bridge project. There's a lot of time and review spent with DOT and the regulators to minimize the impacts as much as possible. Impacts right away, impacts for the water course, and the majority of this is in the existing footprint of the existing road and bridge. Erosion sediment control, we've kind of talked about a little bit. It'll follow all of the state best management practices, storm quality manual, Connecticut guidelines for soil erosion sedimentation control guidelines. They'll all be confined within sedimentation control devices. The sedimentation control will be tied into the total slopes of the water handling, so it is completely confined. And the disturbed areas at the end of the project will be all stabilized and restored. So as part of this project over the last several years, we've had a lot of coordination with, especially DEEP and Army Corps, but various regulatory agencies. Part of DEEP fisheries coordination is no unconfined work will be allowed in the water during June 1st, from June 1st to September 30th, and that's protect fish spawning, so it has to be 100% confined during that time. At the end of the project, the fishing and parking, or the river access and fishing access on the eastern or northeastern side of the crossing will be maintained, so it'll be reopened. It will actually be closed during construction for safety. And we're of course replacing the multiple opening culvert with a clear span, promote fish passage. The state and federal species of concern being plant and animal. There's actually quite a bit of animals and plants as well, but the eastern box turtle, wood turtle, hognose snake, smooth green snake have all been identified and met with a qualified herpetologist, so a reptile and amphibian guy, Hank Bruner, several times on site, and he has had to provide a mitigation plan that'll be in the contract documents, and he'll be providing sweeps of all the animals prior to construction, during construction, and I think all that's been provided in the documentation. Because of bats, it's federal and state bats no tree clearings allowed between April 15th and May 31st, so that'll happen sometime before April 15th. Golden club is a plant species that was identified by DEEP, but was not found on site in initial visits. And the other thing that we've done is met with state historic preservation and tribal consultation to make sure that there's no historic or tribal areas affected as part of the project, and that determination's was completed in 2022, and we've gotten basically approval to move forward with DEEP as well.
A couple of questions.
Yeah.
First, I did go down there today to take a look, and there's a lot of trees you would take on. Are those all going down?
Probably not. It's probably just the ones that are close by. Yeah, there's some that'd be delineated for wetlands and water course. So that may be it, or if that, you know, if it's within the project area, then it'll be the trees that are coming down. I don't know if they've already marked that off, but that may be marking out exclusionary fence. And I haven't been down there.
There are a lot of trees. I just, the way it changes, it almost seems like you might have to cut most of that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And with that golden club, no, nobody's actually seen any there. Is there, you know, can that plant be planted? Can we plant some in there, or is that like?
It's endangered, so I'm not sure the.
Weird zone, or whatever they, you know, it's like one of these things that keep popping up if you get it, introduce it.
Yeah.
I mean, instead of going back and forth, if you end up going back and forth with the botanist, say, oh, I thought I saw one, and you said, no, I didn't see any, because that's the way this reading was. It's like one person was saying, oh, I saw it. It's a place where they have been cited.
So it's identified, I think, by an area on the National Diversity Database maps of the DEEP map. So it's an area that, based on conditions for the site,
Right.
would, you know, it has a possibility. So then we sent out a, you know, qualified botanist to go out there and search the site. And they didn't find anything there.
Right.
They didn't find that search, so if somebody was down there and really found one, then definitely wanna.
Well, that's what they said, that's what they said. They said there's a chance that it's the place that they would grow.
Right. Yeah.
Was it growing? No. But don't
And they'll
forget-
probably be checking again before.
And don't forget, this year, when it was, when the time period when they were doing that survey was when all the rain was coming, so the water was like 3 or 4 feet higher than it should be.
Right.
Or even more.
Yeah.
Almost all summer. And so, yeah, well, maybe there's none there because they're all been washed away, or, you know, they just couldn't make it this year.
Yeah,
But that kind of plant next year.
yeah, not a botanist, so I'm not sure when those, when or where those plants, it's, you know, I think that they, you know, the botanist goes out during the time that they should be there, you know, whatever conditions to be in,
Right.
and check, and,
Right.
you know, they'll be protected, or,
What I'm looking at, what I was trying to think about, is like, instead of going back and forth and saying, somebody actually says, I saw one in there, and now, you know, I don't see it anymore, that kind of thing. Why can't we just put some in after we're done?
yeah, I don't know, that's,
I don't know if we can. Can you do that? Can you cut some of that up and put it out there? Just say, okay, well, we might have killed if we were going to do what we did,
right,
but here we go, we'll mitigate it.
yeah, it's like,
Well,
question for the box, yeah,
I mean, instead of like the other battle that could ensue, you know, like you gotta have a botanist out here every day, just really checking on the work.
yeah.
It's like. Why don't you just come after we're done? It's more in.
Well, I mean, they've completed at this point what's necessary for DEEP to be satisfied, which is, you know, quite a long process to get it all written up and, you know, surveyed. And so at this point, they're, you know, satisfied that they're not there, and
Okay,
I think that there'll be an additional follow-up.
oh, if they want to, they can.
Yeah,
Long fish.
yeah. All right, so finally, project permitting, because it's in a floodplain and a floodway, there's required flood management certification through DEEP and DOT, which has already been issued. We received approval for the Army Corps general permit, will be issued upon award of contract, which is pretty soon. Bid opening was just recently, so the last permit that we need is from is in the wetlands permitting. So I think that's the remaining thing, project. So the project is due to start in April or in the fall season. So in the spring of 25.
Spring of 25?
Yep.
I know you guys have a lot of little curfews, I see, you know, you can't go between a lot of these months, I can't remember that one.
This one's not too bad, really. It's compared to some title stuff where you've got like a 2-month window in the winter to get a project. This is, yeah. So, but yeah, the VAT restrictions for tree cutting is really new. It's new this year. There's new species have been identified that they're trying to protect from, roosting issues. So that's actually part of this project. That just came up recently. So,
I was worried, I was like, I haven't seen that before.
yeah,
I cut down trees.
yeah, no, yeah, it's within the last 6 months. Less, yeah,
I wonder if that's because we had the big bad die off from them.
yeah.
Which
It's
one?
cool. There's new bats.
Well, there was something, was it last year? There was something going through the bat population.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah, one this was Lewis.
Right, yeah, and the wiped out a lot of bats. So,
Yeah, so you're looking at starting in spring of next year
Yep,
and then completing.
at the end of in the fall of 25.
Okay,
Yeah, so one construction season. Which is spring and fall,
cool.
with most of the in-water work, should be during the summer months. That's the plan,
Cool.
yeah.
when are they gonna shut the base break down? When are they gonna shut it down, close that road, do they have?
They'll shut it down before they start doing the, basically the water handling.
Right, can do some work.
Yeah, it's temporary utility relocation and.
Gonna have staging and everything.
Right, yep.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah,
I have to have a bottle of champagne. We can celebrate.
they just had a bid opening this week. So contractors bid and the selection, so award doesn't come for another couple of months. So they've got bids and they have to make a determination with contractors. And then the third party inspector that is really hired by the town, so they're responsible to the town to inspect the contract. It may have been already done, but asked Eric if he was still here. But yeah, that's. Yeah. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to me ramble. So how does it work, you guys? Does approval happen?
Next week.
Next week, so you've got to deliberate.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, allow time for public comment.
Yep.
right, it's like.
For hearing, and then, and then it's like 14 days, so we'll still do the next meeting.
Okay,
December 2nd is our next meeting.
okay, so that's when you sign. All right,
Okay.
thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Yeah,
Here.
I'll let you shut it down.
Okay. So, okay.
Can I grab the number?
Oh, yeah, guys, please go down.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Have a good night. Yeah, good night. Report.
I just got a couple things, I had the, pending permit, well, actually I issued it on October 31st. Was for this, 365 Lake Road where they replaced the existing gravel driveway with paved driveway, the same size. And then there was another one that I just got today, which was the same company, 69 Burnett Brook Road. Where they're doing a paved driveway over an existing gravel road, and there's a wetlands crossing on that one, so get a permit for that. If you have any questions on those?
What happened with this one on Lake Road? I mean, did they do it first?
Not yet, no.
Oh, they didn't do it.
No, they actually didn't put in for anything, but we, our public works guy, he gets the call before anything notifications.
Oh.
So they can early know what's going on there, so we chase them down for permit.
Oh, okay. Honestly.
Yeah. So we did that, and then there wasn't really a ton of alternatives for this one, because it was weird, because the driveway slopes down, and then the storm drain, like right at the bottom of it, which goes across the road and lake. But you couldn't really grade it, like you could grade it into the neighbor's yard onto their driveway. But it was kind of,
That's not very nice.
yeah. And then there was talk with zoning of whether or not nutrient allocation worksheet, I don't know if you're familiar with that. The planning and zoning commission adopted it a few years ago, so anything in the lake area, different zones, you had to mitigate any, so if you had a pervious surface like that, you have to mitigate. But right now, it doesn't seem like they were discussing whether or not that fell under purview of zoning, if they had the authority to require that. And then they would have to, design the dry well or some kind of mitigation feature to collect the water.
So who's trying to figure out if they have that authority?
Jim Halsey, the zoning agent, and then Jed, he was talking about it, because he's the chair of the commission. And then we have a new zoning agent in training.
So they didn't, they weren't the ones that put the new things into place.
They were, yeah,
So who's actually questioning that? They're questioning themselves.
they're confusing regulations. I actually have a copy on it.
I don't know.
Look at them, it's interesting because it applies, it's like, it overlaps with our, but they're
I see.
charter, so it's like I have to require the permit and then wait for them to finish that because they require all this mitigation that changes what.
Oh, I see.
So I kind of work with them, figure out what works best. But it's kind of weird because it's through zoning.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, if you wanted to take a look at that.
Curious about that. Oh, yeah.
For sure, they definitely need to work. It's a weird worksheet, and then it's like a dry well is this many, so they do it with like phosphorus removal, but each thing, like a mulch bed is this much, of grass is this much, tree is this much, but there's no real specifics, that's what I would like, because it's like, oh, put a dry well, how you can build a dry well. What do you need as a container, you can fill the gravel, how you can calculate the size, like plan for maintenance. Right. There's nothing none of that, right? So you could put a drywall in, that would fill sediment and be useless.
Right.
So yeah, that kind of stuff is all work.
Sounds like we could refer documents like we do here, right at the beginning, you refer to that. Because Connecticut has.
Yeah.
water management.
Yeah. Yeah, like if it was constructed in accordance with their management practices.
Right.
I would get it, because you're requiring, like we had one. Where they required an electrician to do it, because he had enough renovations inside the house to trigger that, so it's like, why, how, you got an electrician. Trying to construct like a drainage system, and it's out there with shovel, homeowner out there. Putting a rain garden, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Well, it might help,
Yeah,
it might help.
well, just keeping,
It's just a free flow, like you said, it's right at the end of the driveway.
yeah,
Now it's not gonna be gravel, but it's just gonna go right to that drain, it's gonna go right to the lake. and
yeah, and it's an old gravel driveway, and I mean, I think like some of them, they aren't as. Impervious anymore, or they're not impervious anymore.
Oh, it's been packed out.
Yeah,
Just, it's almost the same.
yeah,
It's almost the same. Yeah. It's a flat, pretty flat, isn't it?
yeah, it's not a real steep slope, yeah. And then the other one was the end over the church. Talking to him, they had gotten a truck in it, and, they removed the pile, the big pile, they're full of.
Did they put any, no dumping signs up or warn anyone?
I didn't see any, but I gotta go through, walk, take a few pictures, get back with them, see what if they had any more. Plans or not, the leaves are down, see everything a little better.
I remember thinking about that vegetation removal, like. That'll go well.
Yeah, then I don't, did they? Did they do it? Yeah, I didn't hear anything.
They did,
They must have done it before that.
Yes.
Yeah, because they draw on the lake.
yeah, 'cause the lake was down, the kid,
Yeah.
the lake was down.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not in training, so they must have just did it. I didn't see Jeff Hayes, I didn't see him out on the water, I saw him, he's there. About a week ago.
Weren't they supposed to like notify us of how,
yeah.
how everything went?
Hardly ever. Yeah, it's written into the permit condition.
Yeah, that's what I thought, 'cause I was looking up the permit tonight. Came, I was like, what would have happened, I never heard anything about it.
Yeah.
Well, at least they didn't put the pesticides in this year,
Yeah,
so that's nice.
kind of glad about that.
I think it affected me, I went for a swim, and my eyes. I was a mess for like a week.
Really?
I'm not saying it was that, but. I don't treat it, I kind of swim in the water.
Yeah. Huh.
I'm sensitive, maybe. Maybe that was, could have been something else. Could have been that too. Okay, so let's see, our next regular meeting is Monday, December 2nd. 7 o'clock. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Sure, I mean, welcome to adjourn meeting at 7:51.
I'll second. All in favor?
Sure.
I actually went through it like twice. I don't think I want to read through it a third time. You had, that was really, it was a lot. Why? I didn't.
Yeah, these big projects like that, there's a lot of like, they put everything out.
We did 100.
Yeah, you don't have to. Read through all of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that, I'm really glad I couldn't find some of that stuff, especially the square footage and all that, because I didn't know what they would have, it's all about. I
Yeah.
was reading it and I didn't know what to talk about, so now I do. And, you know, that 100-year flood, that's something that gets me, 100-year flood, it's like that.
Yeah,
It's like-
it was just different for us, because like there's confusion a lot of times with us, because it's like floodplains are regulated in wetlands,
Yeah.
but if there's enough deposition, so it has to flood,
You know,
enough to